It was 2:47 in the morning on February 24th, 2026, and I was standing at the edge of the water with my shoes still on. I don't know how I got there. I mean, I had gone to bed like any other night. I had prayed, I had read a few verses, I had turned off the light, but something pulled me out of sleep so hard and so fast that I was already moving before I was fully awake. And the next thing I knew, I was standing on the beach, the cold water touching the tips of my shoes, the sky above me turning that deep purple color that only happens right before the last light of evening finally gives up. I was shaking, not from the cold, though the wind was sharp and the air had that salt and iron smell that the ocean gets at night. I was shaking because I knew something was about to happen. I knew I had been brought here on purpose. And I knew, in that deep place in your spirit where you just know things without being able to explain how, that whatever was coming was not going to be small. It was not going to be a gentle nudge or a quiet impression. It was going to be something I would carry for the rest of my life. And I need you to understand something before I go any further. I am not someone who does this. I am not someone who stands up and says, "Hey, I had a vision, listen to me." I have spent years being skeptical of people who talk like that. I have rolled my eyes. I have changed the channel. I have thought to myself, come on, be serious. So when I tell you what happened to me on that beach in the early hours of February 24th, I need you to know that I fought it. I begged not to have to share it. I told Jesus, please find someone else. Find someone more qualified. Find someone people will actually believe. And he said no. He said, you are the one I am sending. And every believer must know this before March. So here I am. And if you are watching this right now, I don't think that's an accident. I think you were meant to find this. I think something in you already knows that the season we are entering is unlike anything we have walked through before. And I think part of you has been feeling it, that low hum of something coming, that restlessness in your spirit that you can't quite explain. You've been waking up at strange hours. You've been feeling a weight on your chest that prayer helps but doesn't fully lift. You've been sensing that something is shifting. You've been reading your Bible and feeling like certain verses are jumping off the page in a way they never did before. You've been in worship and suddenly finding yourself weeping without knowing exactly why. You're right. Something is shifting. And what Jesus showed me on that beach, those 7 things he walked me through one by one, I believe with everything in me that they are meant for you, not for everyone, for you specifically. For the believer who is awake enough to receive it, for the one who still has ears to hear, for the one who, even in the middle of a busy and distracted life, has kept a small, stubborn flame of hunger burning. That flame is why you're here. That flame is what drew you to this word. So I'm asking you right now, before we go any further, to stop whatever else you're doing. Put down your phone if you're holding it sideways. Find a quiet place if you can, because what I'm about to share is not background noise. This is not something you half listen to while you're doing something else. This is a word that requires your full attention. And I promise you, by the time we get to the 7th thing he showed me, you will understand why I was standing on that beach at 2:47 in the morning, shaking with my shoes getting wet, unable to go back inside until I had received every single piece of what he wanted me to carry to you. I also want to say this. I know that some of you are skeptical right now. I know that some of you have heard words like this before and been disappointed. I know that some of you have followed prophetic voices that turned out to be wrong or manipulative or just plain made up. And I understand that. I carry that same skepticism in me. It is part of why I fought so hard against sharing this, because I know what it costs people when they trust a word and it doesn't pan out. I know the damage that does to faith. So I am not asking you to take my word for it. I am asking you to take it to him. Take everything I share with you today and bring it before Jesus yourself. Ask him if it's true. Ask him if it's for you. Let him be the one who confirms it in your own spirit. Because if this word is from him, and I believe with everything in me that it is, then he will confirm it. He will make it land in a way that goes beyond my ability to explain or your ability to dismiss. Are you with me? Good. Then let's go back to the beginning. I had been in a difficult season. I don't want to over-explain it because I think a lot of you know exactly what I mean when I say that. It was one of those stretches where you're doing everything right on the outside and everything feels wrong on the inside. I was praying, I was in the Word, I was showing up, but there was this distance, this quiet ache, like something between me and heaven had gone slightly out of tune and I couldn't figure out what string to adjust. I had been feeling it for weeks. And on the night of February 23rd, going into the 24th, I had actually gone to bed feeling more peace than I had in a while. I had prayed a longer prayer than usual. I had specifically asked God to speak to me, to show me whatever I needed to see, to not let me stay comfortable if comfort was keeping me from something important. I remember saying those exact words. Don't let me stay comfortable if comfort is keeping me from something important. I should have been more careful about what I asked for, because at 2:47 in the morning I was awake, and I was moving, and I was on the beach. The sky was that deep, bruised purple of late twilight, the kind where the sun has been gone for a while, but the darkness hasn't fully settled yet. There was a thin line of orange and gold still sitting on the horizon, just barely, like the last ember of a fire that doesn't quite want to go out. The waves were coming in slow and steady, not violent, not crashing, just this rhythmic, patient movement, like the ocean was breathing, and the sand was cold and damp under my feet, and the wind was moving through my hair, and I was completely, utterly alone. Except I wasn't. I knew before I turned around that he was there. I felt it the way you feel a change in air pressure before a storm. That weight, that presence, that sense of something so much larger than yourself standing close enough to touch. And when I turned, he was standing a few feet behind me, right at the edge of where the dry sand meets the wet, and he was looking at the water. I can't fully describe what he looked like. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but it's the truth. There was light around him that didn't come from anywhere. The twilight should have made everything dim and shadowy, but where he stood, there was this warm, steady glow, like the light was coming from inside him rather than falling on him from outside. His face, when he turned to look at me, was the most serious I have ever seen it. Not angry, not cold, but serious in the way a doctor is serious when they sit down across from you and say, "I need to talk to you about your results." He said, "I brought you here because I need you to see what I see." And I said, "Okay, because what else do you say?" He said, "I am going to show you 7 things, 7 markers of the season that is coming. And when I have shown you all 7, you will go and tell my people, because my people need to know before March." And I want to be honest with you. My first reaction was not, "Yes, Lord, send me." My first reaction was fear, real fear, the kind that starts in your stomach and moves up into your chest and makes your hands go cold. Because I just knew, that what he was about to show me was not going to be easy. And I said, "Please," I actually said, "Please don't show me this. Find someone else. I'm not the right person for this." And he looked at me with those eyes, and there were tears in them, actual tears, and he said, "I know you're afraid, but I am not asking you to carry this alone. I am asking you to carry it to them, and they need it. They need it now." So I stopped arguing, and I turned back toward the water, and he began. He said, "The first thing I want you to see is this." And he pointed out toward the horizon, and the water changed. I don't know how else to say it. The water changed. It was like watching a screen come to life, like the surface of the ocean became a window into something else entirely. And what I saw was the church, not a specific building, not a specific denomination. The church, the body, the people of God spread across the earth. And what I saw made my breath catch. I saw 2 kinds of people, and they were standing in the same pews, singing the same songs, saying the same words, but they were not the same. The first group, and I could see it in the light around them, they were rooted. They were connected to something deep and invisible, like trees with roots that go down further than you can see. And when the wind came, and the wind was coming, they bent, but they did not break. They swayed, but they held. There was something in them that had been built over years of quiet faithfulness, years of choosing the word over the world, years of prayer that nobody saw and sacrifice that nobody applauded. And that invisible thing was now the most important thing they possessed. The second group looked almost identical from the outside, but their roots were shallow, and I could see it. I could see that what looked like faith was actually familiarity. What looked like devotion was actually habit. They had been doing the right things for so long that they had stopped doing them from the right place. And when the wind came for them, and it came just as hard, they didn't bend. They snapped. Jesus said the first marker of this season is the great revealing. What has been hidden in the heart will be made visible by what is coming, not to condemn, to clarify, to give every person the chance to go deeper before the pressure arrives. He said, "This is not judgment, this is mercy. I am showing the shallow places now so that they can become deep places before it matters most." And I felt something break open in my chest when he said that, because I thought about how many times I had mistaken my habits for my roots, how many times I had shown up to the right places and said the right things and assumed that meant I was ready. And I realized, standing there on that cold beach with the water lapping at my feet, that the first thing he was showing me was not just for the church out there, it was for me. Are you hearing this? Because I think it might be for you too. The great revealing is not something to be afraid of, it is something to be grateful for. It is Jesus, in his mercy, turning on the lights before the storm hits so that you can see exactly where you need to reinforce, so that you can go to him and say, "Show me where I'm shallow. Show me where I've been running on habit instead of hunger. Show me where I need to go deeper." And he will show you. That's the promise inside the warning. The revealing is not the end, it is the beginning of something stronger. He said, "The second thing I want you to see is this." And the image in the water shifted. And now I saw something that I can only describe as a great separation. Not a physical separation, a spiritual one. I saw people who had been walking together side by side for years, friends, family members, people who had sat in the same small groups, who had prayed together, who had done life together, and I watched as they began to move in different directions, not with anger, not with drama, just this quiet, steady divergence, like two rivers that share the same source but eventually find different paths to the sea. And some of those separations were painful to watch. I saw a woman watching her husband walk a different direction and her face was full of grief. I saw a pastor watching half his congregation drift towards something that looked like church but wasn't, and his hands were open and empty at his sides. I saw young people leaving the faith of their parents, not with rebellion, but with a kind of exhausted confusion, like they had been handed a map that didn't match the territory they were actually walking through. And I saw older believers, people who had walked with God for decades, quietly stepping back from the things that had once defined their faith, not because they stopped believing, but because they had grown so tired of the gap between what they professed and what they actually experienced. Jesus said the second marker is the great sorting. The lines are being drawn, not by me, but by the choices my people are making right now, in this season, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Every choice to go deeper draws a line. Every choice to stay comfortable draws a different line. And by March, those lines will be visible to everyone. He said, "I am not the one doing the sorting. I am the one grieving it. I am the one standing at the place where the paths divide, with my arms open, calling to every single one of them, come back, come deeper. There is still time." And, I had to stop him there. I had to ask. I said, "Is there still time for the ones who are drifting? Is there actually still time?" And he looked at me with such intensity that I had to look away for a second. And he said, "That is why I brought you here. That is why I am sending you to tell them. Yes, there is still time. But the window is not unlimited, and every day that passes without a decision is itself a decision. So I need to ask you something right now, and I need you to actually sit with it. Which direction are you walking? Not which direction do you intend to walk, not which direction do you tell people you're walking. Which direction are your actual daily choices taking you, because that is the direction you are going. And the great sorting is not coming. It is already happening. It is happening right now in the choices you are making today. The third thing he showed me came faster than the first two. Like the pace was picking up. Like we were moving deeper into something, and there was less time to ease into each new thing. The image in the water shifted again, and this time I saw something that made me take a step back. I actually stepped back physically on that beach, because what I saw was so unexpected. I saw fire, but it wasn't destructive fire. It was the kind of fire you see in the book of Acts, the kind that sits on top of people's heads and doesn't burn them, the kind that fills a room and changes everyone in it. And it was falling. It was falling on people in the most unexpected places, not in the big churches with the big stages and the big lights. It was falling in living rooms. It was falling in hospital waiting rooms. It was falling on people who were driving to work and suddenly had to pull over because the presence of God hit them so hard they couldn't see the road. It was falling on a woman in a grocery store who suddenly started weeping in the cereal aisle and couldn't explain why. It was falling on a man in a prison cell who had never opened a Bible in his life and suddenly felt a hand on his shoulder that no one else in the room could see. Jesus said the third marker is the great outpouring, and it is already beginning. But most of my people are going to miss it because they are looking for it in the wrong places. They are waiting for it to come through the channels they already know. They are waiting for the right speaker, the right conference, the right moment. And while they are waiting, I am moving in the margins. I am moving in the quiet places. I am moving through the ones who stopped waiting for permission and just started seeking my face. He said the outpouring is not coming to the institution. It is coming to the hungry. And the question is not whether I will pour out my spirit. I will. The question is whether you will be in a position to receive it when it comes. And I felt something shift in the atmosphere when he said that, like the air got heavier and lighter at the same time, if that makes any sense. And I thought about all the times I had been in the right building at the right time and still walked out empty because I had shown up with a full agenda and no room for anything unexpected. And I thought about how many times the move of God had passed right over me because I was too busy managing my experience to actually have one. The third marker is the great outpouring, and it is for you. But you have to be hungry, you have to be desperate, you have to be the kind of person who pulls over on the side of the road because you can't drive through the presence of God. Are you that person? Are you willing to become that person? Because here is what I know. The outpouring is coming whether you're ready or not. The only question is whether you'll be in the river or standing on the bank watching it go by. Now, the fourth thing he showed me, I want to be honest, this one hit me the hardest of the first four. The image in the water shifted and I saw the enemy. Not in some dramatic Hollywood way. I saw his strategy. I saw the specific tactic he is deploying right now in this season against the people of God. And it was so subtle that I almost didn't recognize it for what it was. I saw believers who were tired, not spiritually rebellious, not backslidden in any obvious way, just tired, worn down by years of waiting for promises that hadn't come yet, worn down by the gap between what they believed and what they were experiencing, worn down by the sheer relentlessness of a world that pushes back against faith at every turn. And I watched as the enemy moved through that tiredness like water through a crack, not with a frontal assault, not with temptation toward obvious sin, but with a whisper, a quiet, reasonable sounding whisper that said, maybe you misunderstood. Maybe it wasn't really for you. Maybe you've been believing for something that was never actually promised. And I watched people lower their hands, not dramatically, just slowly, quietly, like someone who has been holding something heavy for a long time and finally decides to set it down. And the thing they set down was hope. And the thing they picked up instead was a kind of resigned, functional Christianity that looked fine from the outside but had no fire in it. They still went to church, they still said the right things. But the expectation was gone, the anticipation was gone, the sense that God was actually going to do something was gone. And in its place was this dull gray faithfulness that was really just endurance dressed up in religious language. Jesus said the fourth marker is the great assault on hope. The enemy knows that hope deferred makes the heart sick, and he has been deliberately extending the waiting seasons of my people to make them sick with deferred hope, to make them lower their hands, to make them settle. He said, I need you to tell them, do not lower your hands, do not set down what I gave you to carry. The promise is not late, the promise is precise. And the ones who hold on through this season, the ones who refuse to let go of what I spoke over them, they are about to see why they had to wait this long. And I said, Lord, how do they hold on? How do they keep their hands up when they're that tired? And he said, they hold on together. That is why I gave them each other. The ones who are still standing, they need to find the ones who are about to let go and hold their arms up for them. Like Aaron and Hur held up Moses. This is not a season for solo faith. This is a season for the body to function as a body. So I need to ask you, are your hands still up? And if they are, do you know someone whose hands are coming down? Because that person needs you right now, not next week, right now. The fifth thing he showed me, we were deeper into the night now, and the last light on the horizon had finally gone. The sky was fully dark except for the stars, which were extraordinary, more stars than I had ever seen, like the darkness had made room for more light rather than less. And the image in the water was lit from below now, this soft blue-white glow coming up from the depths. And what I saw was a generation, a young generation. And I want to be careful how I say this because I don't want to be dismissive of anyone who is older, because what I saw applied to people of all ages who had a certain quality in their spirit, but the image was primarily young people, teenagers, young adults, people in their 20s and early 30s, and they were not what I expected. I had been told, we have all been told that this generation is lost, that they are too distracted, too digital, too far gone. And I want to tell you right now that what Jesus showed me was the exact opposite of that. What I saw was a generation that is so hungry for something real that they are about to do something that will shock the church. They are about to turn away from the imitation and run toward the genuine with a speed and a ferocity that the older generation is not prepared for. I saw them walking away from things that had been built to entertain them and walking toward things that were built to transform them. I saw them in small rooms on their knees with no cameras and no audience, crying out to God with a rawness and a desperation that I have rarely seen in any generation. Jesus said the fifth marker is the great awakening of the young. And it is not going to look like what you expect. It is not going to come through your programs. It is not going to come through your events. It is going to come through encounter, raw, unmediated, unpackaged encounter with my presence. And the ones who create space for that encounter, the ones who are willing to let go of their agendas and just make room for me to move, those are the ones who will be part of what I am doing in this generation. He said, stop writing them off. Stop mourning them as a lost cause. Start praying for them as the next great move, because I have not given up on them. I have been preparing them. And what looks like lostness from the outside is actually a deep, aching hunger that has not yet found its source. And when it finds its source, when this generation encounters me in the fullness of who I am, the world will not be able to ignore it. And, I wept when he said that. I actually wept because I have people in my life in that generation, people I love, people I have been grieving over. And to hear him say, I have not given up on them, I have been preparing them, that broke something open in me that I didn't even know was closed. The fifth marker is the great awakening of the young, and your job, if you are older, is to pray, to create space, to stop trying to manage the move of God and start making room for it. And if you are young, if you are in that generation, I need you to hear this directly. He has not forgotten you. He has not given up on you. The hunger you feel, that ache for something real, that restlessness that nothing in this world has been able to satisfy, that is Him. That is His Spirit drawing you, and He is closer than you think. Now, the sixth thing he showed me, I have to be honest with you, this is where I started to really struggle. This is where I started to understand why he had to bring me to the beach in the middle of the night instead of just speaking to me in my room, because what he showed me next required the full weight of that setting. The darkness, the stars, the sound of the water, the cold, all of it was necessary to hold what he was about to put in front of me. The image in the water shifted one more time, and I saw the church under pressure, real pressure, not the kind of pressure we talk about in comfortable sermons about trials and tribulations. Real, tangible, external pressure. I saw believers losing things, jobs, relationships, platforms. I saw people being asked to choose, in very concrete and practical ways, between their faith and their comfort, between what they believed and what was socially acceptable, between the voice of God and the voice of the crowd. And I saw that the choices were not always dramatic. Sometimes it was as simple as whether you spoke up or stayed quiet, whether you stood firm or went along, whether you let the fear of what people thought override the conviction of what God said. And I watched how different people responded, and the contrast was stark and it was painful. Some people, when the pressure came, discovered something in themselves that they didn't know was there, a courage, a clarity, a willingness to stand that surprised even them. And I watched those people, and there was something happening in them under the pressure, something being forged, something being made permanent and unshakable that could not have been made any other way. But others, when the pressure came, discovered something different. They discovered that their faith had been largely theoretical, that they had believed in Jesus in the way you believe in a historical figure, with intellectual assent and emotional appreciation, but without the kind of deep, personal, costly commitment that holds when everything else is being stripped away. And I watched those people make the calculation, and I watched them choose comfort, and I watched the light in them dim. Jesus said the sixth marker is the great test of allegiance, and it is not coming as a single dramatic moment. It is coming as a series of small moments, each one asking the same question in a slightly different way. Who do you belong to? Who do you trust? Who do you serve when serving me costs you something real? He said, I am not sending the test. The test is the natural consequence of the collision between my kingdom and the kingdom of this world, and that collision is intensifying, and every believer is going to feel it. The question is not whether you will be tested. The question is what you will discover about yourself when you are. He said, and this is the part that undid me. He said, I am not asking you to be strong. I am asking you to be honest. Come to me with your fear. Come to me with your doubt. Come to me with the part of you that wants to take the easy road. Don't hide it. Bring it. Because I can work with honesty. I cannot work with pretense. And the ones who come to me honestly, who say, I am afraid, I am not sure I can do this, help me, those are the ones I will carry through. And I stood there on that beach and I thought about every time I had pretended to be stronger than I was, every time I had performed courage instead of asking for it, and I thought, how much time have I wasted trying to look like I had it together when I could have just been honest with him and let him be strong in my weakness. The sixth marker is the great test of allegiance, and the preparation for it is not more willpower, it is more honesty, more intimacy, more of the kind of prayer that doesn't sound impressive but actually reaches heaven because it's real. And I want to say something else about this sixth marker before we move to the seventh, because I think there is a lie that the enemy has been telling the church about the test of allegiance, and I need to name it out loud. The lie is this. The lie is that if you were really strong in your faith, the test wouldn't be hard, that if you were really rooted, the pressure wouldn't shake you, that the fact that it's difficult means something is wrong with you. And I need you to hear me when I say that is not true. That is not what Jesus showed me. What he showed me is that the test is hard for everyone. The difference is not whether you feel the pressure, the difference is where you go with it. The ones who passed the test in the vision were not the ones who felt no fear. They were the ones who brought their fear to him instead of letting it drive them away from him. They were the ones who said, I am shaking, but I am staying. I am afraid, but I am not moving. I don't understand everything that is happening, but I know who I belong to. And that knowing, that stubborn, costly, daily knowing, was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything. And then he said, now I need to show you the seventh thing. And his voice changed when he said it. It got quieter, more careful, like he was handling something fragile. And I felt my heart rate go up because I had been dreading this moment since the beginning, since he first said 7 things. Because I knew, the way you know things in dreams and visions, that the 7th thing was the most important. And I knew it was the reason he had brought me to the beach in the middle of the night. And I knew it was the thing I had been begging him not to show me. He said, look at the water. And I looked, and the image that appeared was not a scene of events. It was not a vision of people or places or things happening. It was something more personal than that. It was a mirror. The water became a mirror. And in that mirror, I saw myself. And I saw you, not your face specifically, but the you that exists beneath your face, the you that God sees, the real you, the one that has been waiting, maybe for years, to be fully known and fully loved and fully used. And Jesus stood beside me and he looked at the mirror with me and he said, the 7th marker is the great invitation. He said, everything I have shown you tonight, the revealing, the sorting, the outpouring, the assault on hope, the awakening of the young, the test of allegiance, all of it is leading here. All of it is leading to this moment of invitation, this moment where I stand before every single one of my people and I say, will you come? Not will you perform, not will you produce, not will you manage your image and maintain your reputation and keep all the plates spinning. Will you come? Will you come to me as you are, with everything you are carrying, with all the ways you have fallen short and all the ways you are afraid and all the ways you have been pretending, and will you let me be enough? He said, the great invitation is not to a program. It is not to a movement. It is not even to a mission, though the mission will follow. The great invitation is to a person, to me. And the ones who accept it, the ones who say yes to the invitation before March, before the pressure of this season fully arrives, those are the ones who will be standing when everything else is shaking, not because they are strong, because they are held. And I wept. I wept so hard that I had to sit down on the wet sand, and I didn't even care that my clothes were getting soaked, because I realized that everything he had shown me, all 7 things, they were not primarily warnings. They were invitations. Every single one of them was him saying, come closer, come deeper, come to me before the storm so that you are with me in the storm. And he sat down beside me on the sand, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, now go tell them what you saw, tell them what I said, tell them that I love them, tell them that I am not far, tell them that the season that is coming is not designed to destroy them. It is designed to reveal them, to refine them, to bring them into the fullness of what I created them for. He said, tell them the time is now, not next month, not after they get their lives together. Now, the door is open, the invitation is standing, and I am waiting. So now I need to talk to you directly, not about the vision, about you, about what you do with what you just heard. Because here's the thing about a word like this, you can hear it and feel moved and then go back to your life and let the feeling fade and nothing changes. I have done that. I have sat under powerful words and felt the weight of them and then walked out into the parking lot and checked my phone, and by the time I got home it was already becoming a memory, and I am telling you right now, do not let that happen with this. The 7 markers Jesus showed me are not abstract theological concepts. They are happening right now. The great revealing is happening right now in your own heart, in the places where habit has replaced hunger. The great sorting is happening right now in the choices you are making every single day. The great outpouring is happening right now in the margins, in the quiet places, and the question is whether you are positioned to receive it. The assault on hope is happening right now, and the enemy is counting on you being too tired to notice. The awakening of the young is happening right now, and the question is whether you will make room for it or manage it away. The test of allegiance is coming, and the preparation for it starts today, and the great invitation is standing open right now at this very moment as you listen to these words. So what do? Let me be specific. Let me give you actual steps, because I think sometimes we hear a word like this and we want to respond, but we don't know how, and the vagueness becomes an excuse for inaction. First, I want you to do something today, not tomorrow, today. That is an act of going deeper, not a big dramatic gesture, something small and real. Spend 30 minutes in prayer. That is not a list of requests. Just be with him. Just sit in his presence and let him speak. If you don't know how to do that, start by saying, I'm here, I'm listening, and then be quiet. That's it. That's the whole instruction. Be quiet and let him meet you, because he will. He is not hiding from you. He is not making himself hard to find. He is closer than the air you are breathing right now, and he is waiting for you to stop talking long enough to hear him. Second, I want you to examine your roots. Ask yourself honestly, am I running on hunger or habit right now? Am I in the Word because I need it or because I'm supposed to? Am I praying because I believe it changes things or because it's part of my routine? And wherever you find habit without hunger, ask him to reignite the hunger. Ask him to make you desperate again. That is a prayer he loves to answer. I have prayed it myself in the darkest stretches of my own dry seasons, and every single time, without exception, he has answered it. Not always immediately, not always in the way I expected, but always. He always answers the prayer that says, make me hungry for you again. Third, I want you to find someone whose hands are coming down and hold them up. Call someone today. Not a text, a call. Someone you know is in a hard season, someone who is tired, someone who is close to setting down their hope, and tell them you see them. Tell them you're standing with them. Tell them the promise is not late. Be Aaron, be her, be the one who holds up the arms of the one who is too tired to hold them up alone. Because the body of Christ is not meant to be a collection of individuals each fighting their own private battles. It is meant to be a body, connected, interdependent, each part supporting the others. And in this season, that interdependence is not optional. It is survival. Fourth, I want you to make room for the unexpected. This week, in your time with God, leave space for something you didn't plan. Don't fill every moment with your agenda. Leave room for him to move in a way you didn't anticipate, because the outpouring is coming to the hungry and the available. And availability is something you choose. It is a posture. It is a decision to hold your plans loosely enough that when he moves in an unexpected direction, you can follow without resistance. Fifth, and this is the most important one, I want you to say yes to the invitation, right now. Not after you finish listening. Right now. In your heart, say yes. Say, Jesus, I accept the invitation. I come to you as I am. I bring you everything I am carrying. I stop pretending and I start being honest. I stop performing and I start pursuing. I say yes to you, not to a program, not to a movement, to you. Because that yes, that simple, honest, costly yes is the thing that changes everything. That is the thing that determines which side of the great revealing you are on. That is the thing that roots you deep enough to bend without breaking. That is the thing that positions you to receive the outpouring. That is the thing that keeps your hands up through the assault on hope. That is the thing that makes you part of the awakening. That is the thing that carries you through the test of allegiance. That yes is everything. And I want to pray with you right now. I want us to say it together. So if you're willing, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I want you to just close your eyes for a moment and repeat after me in your heart. Jesus, I hear you. I receive this word. I accept your invitation. I come to you as I am, not as I wish I were, not as I pretend to be, but as I actually am right now. I bring you my tiredness. I bring you my doubt. I bring you the places where habit has replaced hunger and comfort has replaced courage. I bring you my fear about what is coming, and I ask you to meet me here. Root me deep, fill me fresh, hold me close. I say yes to you, not to a performance, not to a program, to you. And I trust that you are enough for everything this season holds. Amen. If you prayed that, something just shifted. I believe that with everything in me. Something in the spiritual atmosphere around you just shifted, because that kind of honest, surrendered yes is exactly what he has been waiting for. And he does not waste a yes like that. He does not receive a prayer like that and do nothing with it. He takes it and he builds something with it, something that will hold, something that will last, something that will still be standing when everything around it is shaking. Now I need to ask you to do one more thing. I need you to share this. I know that sounds like a typical thing to say at the end of a video like this, but I am asking you from the deepest place in me. Because there are people in your life right now who are in the middle of the great sorting and they don't know it. There are people whose hands are coming down and they need someone to hold them up. There are people who are about to miss the outpouring because they are looking in the wrong places. There are people who are so tired from the assault on hope that they are one more disappointment away from setting everything down. And there are young people in your life who are hungry for something real and don't know where to find it. And you have something to give them. You have this word. You have what you just heard. And the act of sharing it is itself an act of holding up someone's arms. So please, send this to someone today, not because of an algorithm, because of love, because of the body functioning as a body, because of Aaron and her, because of the great invitation that is standing open for everyone who will say yes. I'm going to tell you what time it is right now as I finish this. It is 4:51 in the morning on February 24th, 2026. I have been on this beach for over 2 hours. My clothes are damp, my feet are cold. The sky is beginning to show the very first suggestion of gray at the edges, that pre-dawn color that means the night is almost over and something new is about to begin. And I don't have a better word for this, I feel clean. I feel like something heavy that I was carrying without knowing I was carrying it has been set down. Not because the season ahead is easy, it is not going to be easy. Everything he showed me tonight makes that clear. But because I know who was in it with me, because I said yes to the invitation, because I came to the beach in the middle of the night and I let him show me what he needed me to see, and I am choosing to trust him with all of it. And I want that for you. I want you to feel what I feel right now, not the cold and the damp. You can skip those parts, but this settledness, this rootedness, this sense of being known and held and sent. This is what the great invitation leads to. This is what saying yes to him produces. Not a life without storms, a life where you are not alone in the storm, a life where the roots go deep enough that the wind bends you but does not break you, a life where your hands stay up because you have people around you who won't let them fall, a life where you are positioned for the outpouring because you chose hunger over habit, a life where you are part of the awakening because you made room for the unexpected, a life where you pass the test of allegiance because you built your intimacy with him before the pressure arrived. That is the life on the other side of yes, and it is available to you, right now, today, before March, before the season fully shifts, before the markers he showed me become undeniable to everyone. He told me before he left, before the presence lifted, and I was standing alone on the beach with just the sound of the waves and the first birds beginning somewhere in the distance. He told me one more thing. He said, "Tell them I am coming back. Tell them the signs they are seeing are not the end of the story. They are the setup for the greatest chapter yet. Tell them to hold on. Tell them to go deep. Tell them to say yes. And tell them I love them more than they have yet been able to understand." So that is what I am telling you. He is coming back. The signs are not the end. They are the setup. Hold on. Go deep. Say yes. And know with everything in you, that you are loved more than you have yet been able to understand. I will be back with more of what he showed me. There are things from that beach that I am still processing, still praying through, still asking him for permission to share, but I will be back. And when I come back, I believe what I bring will be exactly what you need for the next step of this season. Until then, stay rooted, keep your hands up, make room for the unexpected, and say yes to the invitation every single day, not just today, every day, because every day is a new opportunity to choose him over comfort, depth over habit, hunger over familiarity. Every day is a new yes, and every yes matters.